Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. DC movie, sequel to 2019's Shazam, directed by David F. Sandberg. Not really doing that great at the box office, because there was like nobody at the movie theater I was at. Which is surprising, but this how people, I guess people are burned out of superhero movies right now. But The Flash will probably get a lot of people since Batman's coming back. But this movie, I feel like it's almost as good as the first one. I can't tell which one I like more. This one has more character development in the family, and it doesn't really focus on Shazam as much. It kind of focusing on like the family, other characters like Freddy and Mary, Pedro, more than Zachary Levi's Shazam, Billy Baston. Which is kind of good and also kind of bad because it's called Shazam. It's not called the family of Shazam. But, that's not really a big deal. As far as the villains go, I feel like the villain in the first one was better. But, like, they're the daughters of a god, and they want the staff back, and it gives them power to have a tree that, well, it's hard to explain, because I'm terrible explaining the mythology stuff on here, but, all you need to know is they were kinda cast out, and they want revenge, and Billy's power is their father's power, and I thought the main villain, I was like, oh, it's going to be the older lady. And like Lucy Liu just takes over as the main villain basically in the last 30 minutes of the movie, really. Which I'm glad to see her on the big screen again because it seemed like she was like blacklisted or something from Hollywood. Like I didn't see her in anything for a long time. Maybe in a TV show every once in a while. But I feel like she did a good job as a villain. The new character, that's Anne, she was okay. She wasn't really interesting. She was a love interest. There's a lot of jokes that were really funny in the movie, though. It would be a really expensive Skittles commercial, if you know what I'm talking about. If you saw the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything what happens with what I'm talking about with the Skittles, but if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. The acting from the cast is really good, except for the people in the background. Their acting in the beginning was pretty bad, honestly. It was too over the top. And by the way, this movie is a little tad cheesy or corny, but that Captain Marvel or Shazam wasn't really meant to be a super serious series, so take it in a grain of salt. It's not like Batman, it's not like the Batman movies or a lot of the early DCU movies. It has a certain charm to it. Overall, I would say it's at least a 7.5. Critics are not, they have mixed reactions to it, of course. But I really think this movie is a step in the right direction, and there's a glorious cameos. There's a couple of cameos I was surprised, and there was one I wasn't surprised because they put it in the trailer to get people to go see the movie. But the one that surprised me is a reference to the show of the Captain Marvel show, and I was like, oh, I was like, I had to look it up, and I'm like, I knew it. But overall, it's a good movie. The action's good. The CGI is decent. Some scenes it seems like green screen, but, that's just standard in movies these days. Oh, and the creature effects are amazing. The creatures that they show up in the movie, because the guy who directed it directed some horror movies, so there's like a mixture of horror element in there. But I still feel like he did a better job in the first one, particularly a certain scene in the first one with the main villain and his father. It was like, oh, it's a friendly, kid-friendly movie, and then it gets all dark. It's kind of like that with this movie, but I feel like this one has more family-friendly type stuff in there. And there's like a forced scene in there, though, with the Pedro character, but it didn't bother me that much at all, but it was kind of forced. But overall, it's a good movie. Definitely go see it. You're probably going to get good seats because there was nobody. There was maybe like 3 people, 4 at best, that went to the movie when we saw it. So hopefully this movie makes even at the box office, because Black Adam didn't do so hot at the box office despite it being a decent movie. Really, the Suicide Squad was a good movie. I'm talking about the second one, not the first one. The second one was really good. Black Adam I liked. Shazam I liked. The Birds of Prey was okay, but like I think they're getting in the right direction despite the controversy of certain things. And I heard the early testings where Aquaman was not great, but we'll see. I'm still kind of bummed that they are replacing the Superman. Even though he wasn't my favorite Superman, I feel like they shouldn't have replaced him, but that's just me.